Yeah, Mandy's trying to record a video. Let's fly jets over the house right now.
Don't know if I could ever be without you, 'cause boy, you complete me. And in time I know that we'll both see that we're all we need. 'Cause you're the apple to my pie, you're the straw to my berry, you're the smoke to my high, and you're the one I wanna marry. 'Cause you're the one me, I want you.
Hey all, so real quick, I'm gonna try to keep this quick. I'm gonna do my pregnancy and birth story from when I had Calvin. To start off with, I was a teen mom. Bet you didn't know that, did ya? I was 19 when I got married, and I was 19 when I got pregnant, making me a teen mom, but I don't think it really counts completely considering I was married. I wasn't the typical teen mom. Travis and I got married in September, and then we found out in November that we were pregnant with Calvin. I was really, really sick when I got to New Jersey. I thought it was just like changing. I had never been to the East Coast before. I thought it was just like a location issue, an altitude thing, even though the altitude wasn't any different. So I went to the doctor and I had told them that I was sick and everything, and they were like, well, is it a possibility you could be pregnant? And I was like, it's a possibility I could be pregnant. So they did a pregnancy test, and then they called me the next day, and they're like, yep, you're pregnant, blah, blah, blah. So I called Travis, and I told him, and then we kind of started telling family. I was already, I think, almost 7 weeks when we found out that I was pregnant with Calvin, and we found out he was due in end of May, beginning of June. Planes, go away! You're so loud. I'm just gonna try to talk over the planes. You're gonna be able to hear them, and I apologize, but they're gonna be flying over this entire time, and there's nothing I can do about it. They do it all day. Back into the story. The part some people want to know is like what it is like being pregnant when you're away from all your friends and family, and then having a baby away from all your friends and family, not having that support system and those people there to help you out. Because when Travis was at work, it was all me. I was by myself doing everything alone. And that's kind of terrifying to some people. It wasn't too bad for me because I'm pretty used to doing stuff by myself, but it was something that I needed to get used to, especially when it came to figuring out how to take care of another human. I had been taking care of Travis for a little while, but I had never taken care of something that small. The entire time I had it in my head that I was not going to have an epidural, I was going to have an all-natural childbirth, and nothing was going to change my mind. My mom had all 5 of us kids natural, and my cousin, who is like my sister, she had all of her kids natural, and I was just set on having a natural childbirth, and it didn't exactly work out that way. All through my pregnancy, I knew Calvin was a big baby. Like every ultrasound, he was showing that he weighed more than he was supposed to, and they're like, oh man, do you have this, do you have this? All through my pregnancy, people were asking like if everything was normal, and if all my blood work came back normal, and if he was a healthy size and everything, and I don't remember the word I'm looking for, but people had questioned if there was something, it has to do with diabetes, I know that, but I was questioned a lot if there was something more to my pregnancy than just him being a big baby. By the end of my pregnancy, I think I had almost gained 50 pounds. I gained like 47 pounds. So by week 20 when I was pregnant, I had already gained over 20 pounds. And one of the nurses at the clinic that I went to was so mean. Melissa Sori. I will never forget that doctor's name. She was so rude. She was like this really tiny figured lady. She was like really petite and really small. She was an older lady, but she was always making comments about my weight. And to start off, I wasn't small. I was about this size when I got pregnant. So I wasn't a small person to begin with. I don't feel like I'm obese, but I was not a small person. She had made comments about my weight the entire time, and one of the comments I specifically remember, it was at one of the appointments, I don't remember exactly which one, but Travis was there with me, and she had made this comment. She said,
You might want to watch out for gaining any more weight because you're borderline obese.
You can't say that to a pregnant person. The emotions that a pregnant person has are just out of control at the time, and it was just unfair for her to say something like that to me. And she didn't even like try to sugarcoat it in any way, which I know there's no real nice way to say it, but she didn't even try to say it nicely. Like, hey, so you've gained about this much weight. I don't know what you started at, but maybe try not to gain much more weight by the end of your pregnancy. She could have said that instead of,
you're borderline obese.
because that freaking hurt my feelings so bad, and I left there in tears, and Travis is like, it's okay, you don't need to listen to her, you're fine, it's okay. And I didn't want to eat anything for the rest of the day. I was like punishing myself, like, you don't need to eat anything else because people think you're obese and you're already too big, you don't need to gain any more weight. But then I was like, if I don't eat, Calvin doesn't eat. Like, if I am not feeding my body, the body growing inside of me is not going to get any nutrition. And that was selfish. And I realized that was pretty stupid, so I didn't keep not eating. I obviously ate food. I ate dinner that night, and I ate after that. But by the end of my pregnancy, I was up about 47 pounds. The day I delivered Calvin, I think I was like 219, something like that. We didn't have any friends or any family come and visit us the entire time that I was pregnant because we had just gotten to New Jersey and no one could fly over and see us. So getting to my due date, I went in for an ultrasound the day of my due date, which I think at the time was like May 27th or May 20th. No, they had an appointment for 40 weeks and 1 day because they were saying if I went over 40 weeks that they would intervene. So at my 40-week, 1-day appointment, they did an ultrasound, and it showed that Calvin was like 9 pounds and 11 ounces or something. They didn't really say anything. They're like, oh man, that's big, whatever. They called me the next morning. It was like 8 o'clock in the morning, and they had called me. Travis was at work, and they're like, hey, we scheduled you for another appointment at this other doctor's office so we could get a second opinion as to his size, and maybe their machine will catch something that ours didn't, blah, blah, blah. Maybe they'll get a different reading. We lived about 40 minutes from base, and Travis got from work to our house in about 15 minutes because I had called him and I was like, hey, they scheduled this appointment. I need to be there. We only had one car at the time. He was like, all right, well, I'll be there. So he told work and then left. And he made that 40-minute commute in about 15 to 20 minutes. I was ready when he got there and we took off. Pretty sure we got there on time. And that ultrasound showed that he was gonna be 10 pounds, 5 ounces. And they were like, oh man, that is a big baby. So they said that they wouldn't induce me with him being that big, that I could wait another week or two and let him come on his own, and he could gain another pound or two in that time, or they could do a C-section and just get it out of the way. They said that having him naturally, with him being that big, they scared me with this. I don't think it was really fair for them to say this because I was a new mom, a young new mom that didn't know any better, and they said that with him being that big, that my bone structure could be too small for him and I could run the risk of damaging his shoulders, neck, or spine for the rest of his life. And I was like,
What?
no, I'm not gonna do that. Okay, schedule a C-section. And it was like just like that I made that decision to get a C-section because I didn't know any better. I didn't know that people have bigger babies than that every single day. Her just saying that scared me enough to make me make that quick decision. So they're like, all right, so we'll see what we have available for you to come and get a C-section. They're like, yeah, we're gonna schedule you for tomorrow at 11 a.m. And I was like, what? I wasn't allowed to eat anything after like 9 p.m. and couldn't drink anything after like midnight, and I couldn't drink anything all that next morning. But I was so scared because I didn't expect it to happen that fast. The fact that I knew it was scheduled for this specific time that I was actually gonna have my baby was like, oh, I'm scared. And I got chills and I got really nervous, but I was huge and I was so ready to not be pregnant anymore. I was so uncomfortable and I was just ready to meet him. I was nervous, but I was ready to meet him. We still didn't have anybody there for us. So Travis and I went the next day. We went to the hospital. I was prepped for my C-section and everything. Travis got to be there for the whole thing. I didn't think the spinal tap really hurt that bad. A lot of people say that the epidural needle or spinal tap needle hurts really bad, and I honestly don't think it hurt that bad, though I don't really have an issue with needles. Needles don't really bother me at all. I mean, I could tell there was a needle in my back, but it didn't hurt any more than you would think a needle in your back hurts, which a needle is so small, it's not supposed to hurt that bad. I'm okay with needles though. Anyways, I had the Spinal Tap and they laid me down. Every couple of minutes were like, all right, try to move your feet, try to move your feet. Once I couldn't move my feet, they ran this little spiky wheel up my leg to see if I could feel any of it, and then did it like on my sides and right under my ribs and stuff. And if I could feel my ribs, then that was bad. They didn't want me to feel anything from like here up. Once I got to the point that I couldn't feel anything, they'd put like this sheet up so you can't see anything from like your chest down. And I was really uncomfortable because I cannot lay with my head lower than my body or laying like perfectly flat. It makes me sick. It makes me dizzy. And I had to lay with my arms straight out, with my head back, perfectly flat. And I was getting like nauseous. Whatever medication they had me on, or I don't know if it was from the Spinal Tap or what, but my nose itched so bad the entire time. Like the day after I had him, my nose was just so dry and so itchy from me scratching it, because they're like, keep your arms flat, but I kept moving my hand up and scratching my nose because my face was just so itchy. It was insane. I didn't even know they had started doing anything because they had put that sheet up to where I couldn't see my lower half. I couldn't feel that they were doing anything except for like I could feel like my body was moving. Like I could feel from my shoulders up that like I was moving a little bit. And that was because they had like already cut into me and were like separating my layers of skin and like digging a child out of my body. And I didn't even know any of it was happening until one of the nurses was like, uh-oh, cords wrapped around the baby's neck. And I was like, what? She's like, don't worry, the doctor's got it handled. Then a couple minutes later, he cried. And like, that's all I remember happening. I don't remember feeling anything. I don't remember seeing anything, obviously because I couldn't. And just recently, Travis was like, nope, I saw everything. I saw you come out and everything. And I was like, you don't want someone to see you that way, especially like your husband. You don't want them to see you cut open. I feel like that just completely changes their image of you. But I was like mortified when he said that. Back to the story though. They brought him around the sheet so that I could see him. And I remember the first thing that I said was, his legs are so long. Then they brought him over, cleaned him off, got his footprints and fingerprints and all that jazz, and then they let me hold him while I was still laying down. They were sewing me up and I was holding him. And there's a couple pictures, I'll throw them up here. You have seen a couple already. I remember like just looking into Travis's eyes and like the emotion on his face. He would probably deny it, but he just looked like so peacefully happy. It was just an incredible moment. And though we don't want any more kids right now, that could happen again later. And that would be the biggest thing I looked forward to other than the child, is the look on his face of just being completely in love with another human being. And it was just awesome. I don't regret any of it. I wish I would have had the chance to have experienced labor. I don't even know what contractions feel like. I have an almost 4-year-old and I don't even know what contractions feel like because I didn't get to experience any of that. Though some people would say I don't want to know what it feels like because it's so painful, but I want to know what that's like. Fast forward to a couple weeks old, Travis's mom actually came and visited us for like a week or two. I think it was like a week and a half. She came and visited us and helped out a little bit. I breastfed Calvin, so I was holding him literally all the time. Like he wanted to eat and sleep and be awake on me. Like every waking moment or every sleeping moment, every moment of his life, he wanted to be spent laying on me. So anytime he would fall asleep or was done eating and was awake, I was like, does anybody want to hold him? Travis or his mom? And Travis usually wanted to hold him. And I remember Travis got kind of upset because, not like really bad, he was just like, he wanted to feed Calvin. He wanted to be able to feed Calvin with a bottle, and Calvin wouldn't take a bottle. I tried a couple times and he wouldn't do it. That was one thing that he missed out on, I guess, was getting to feed Calvin because he wouldn't allow it. Calvin only wanted Babu. Babu, as he says now, he still says Babu. I feel kind of bad that he didn't get to do that. And then later, like a month later, around my birthday in July, my mom came and visited us. She brought my 2 younger brothers, Adam and Noah, with her, and we went to the beach and we went to the mall and we just hung out and had a really good time. I was not in the greatest shape when we went to this beach, and I probably shouldn't have worn a 2-piece, but I wore short shorts and a bikini top, and I will throw that picture up right here. I don't look that great, but that was my post-pregnancy 1.5 month bod. Ugh. After that, no one else came to visit us at all, really. I don't think we ever had anybody else come visit us after that. No, we didn't. Those were the only people that ever came to see us while we lived in New Jersey, and it was kind of hard because we didn't have parents just in the next town over or friends just next door that we could go and talk to and see. We didn't have anybody. So everything that we did with Calvin and everything that we learned and did with him, we were completely winging it. A lot of times I would text my mom and like, hey, so what is this? Or he's doing this, what does that mean? And she's like, well, with you guys, well, when you did this. And that was how I learned a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff I just kind of guessed, honestly. I remember I was 10 when my youngest brother was born, Noah, and I kind of remember some of his baby years, I guess, but a lot of it I either just kind of knew or remembered from somewhere or asked my mom, really. That's really all I did. Or asked my other mom friends, like, hey, so what's going on with this? Hi, baby. Speaking of the baby, here he is. I forgot to mention, we did have a couple of friends come and visit us when we were in the hospital. My friend Abby came and visited us with her little girl Madison, and a couple of people from Travis's work came and visited us, and then Goods, our friends here, they came and visited us as well, and that was all we really had. Being as I had a C-section, I had to stay in the hospital for I think 4 days, 3 nights. We gotta go home Sunday. But I don't know really what else to share about that experience, being this is getting a little bit long. Hopefully I can trim it down a little. If not, you're watching like a 15-minute story time video about this little guy right here. I wouldn't trade him for the world. I wouldn't trade our experience and our life together for anything in the world. Quick intermission. I just had to lay Calvin back down because he was still really tired. But this is the end of this video anyways, so if you like this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up for me and hit subscribe down below if you have not done that already, and you can be a part of our Wink fam. If you have any other questions though about this story time or about my pregnancy or Calvin's birth or having a C-section or the recovery, things I didn't really touch base on that a whole lot, then leave it in the comment section below and I will get back to you fairly quickly. I'm really good about getting back to comments. So, for now, that is that, and we will see you when we see you. Bye!
I'm gonna stand by you, even if I bring it down. We can find a way to break through, even if we can't find heaven. I'll walk through hell with you.
Oh, yep, keep going. You're not quite there yet.